Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this October the 7th, 2022, a Friday. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, I'm going to talk about the two big crises. I'm going to call them two super crises that we're facing. And I'm also going to talk about way out. Is there a way out of these crises? Okay, and what's the potential of these two crises? First, you have to know what these two crises are. One crisis is that over the past over 100 years, they've been building up a financial system that's based on a Ponzi scheme. And it's ready to crash to the ground, and money will stop functioning properly. And this can cause a widespread effects that's absolutely devastating. Now, the second crisis is a nuclear crisis, and this is what Biden's talking about here. He's warning of nuclear Armageddon. He says it's worse or just as bad. He says for the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And this is a crisis as well that has just as big a potential to disrupt humanity and cause a super crisis where we lose a lot of the world's population, needless to say. Now, don't underestimate the financial crisis. I see the potential where it could be just as devastating and cause just as much loss of life. But there wouldn't be as much radiation. But these two crises are barreling at us, both of them. And I'm going to talk about way out. And this is a very important part of it. Is there a way out? Can we escape this nuclear Armageddon? And the answer is yes. In fact, it could all end very abruptly. It could. Before a nuclear exchange. And just one of the ways that I can think of is perhaps there would be a change of administration in the Russian government. It could happen quite suddenly, or the war could just end, or with wars, there's a high level of improbability, I guess is the way I would put it. Anyway, it's never, wars are very, very unpredictable. Extremely unpredictable. And they can start suddenly without notice, and they can end suddenly without notice. And so with that level of unpredictability built into them, it's never for certain that you're going to have a nuclear Armageddon. But yes, it does look very bad. I'll admit that. The situation that's involved here with this war does look very, very bad. But let's talk about the financial system. Now, I've went over that, and I've told you guys there are ways out or exit ramps from that. It's not a certainty that the worst has to happen with the war situation. But what about the financial situation and the financial crisis that we're facing? Is there a way out of this? And what I'm going to tell you is kind of shocking, guys. It's kind of shocking. But there's absolutely no exit ramp for the financial crisis. The financial crisis is a certainty. There's no way out. The central banks now are trapped, completely trapped. There's no way to make all of the fiat currencies of the world worthless in a very short period of time without it causing the system to collapse. And so you're asking yourself, well, if that's our eventuality with the financial crisis, if there's no way out and this thing has to collapse ultimately, just a question of when. It's not if, it's when. What's it going to look like? Well, guys, it's going to be the collapse of an empire and everything that brings with it. Food shortages beyond belief. Crime, civil unrest that goes beyond civil unrest. It goes to the point where the Roman Empire, Nero, fiddled, they say, while Rome was on fire and burning. And this is a part of a collapse of an empire, is complete destruction. Nothing functions. What you've been relying upon all your life to feed you suddenly ceases to function, and the people around you, they become uncivilized. Civilization is crumbling. And so the people being civilized, that's why we call it civilization, where human life really matters a lot. You know, they take care of the loss of human life. You know, I mean, when civilization is crumbling and civilization ceases to exist, people are not civilized anymore. Well, there's just so much uncivilized behavior that it becomes the norm and nobody even cares any longer because it's happening all around you. This is what the decay of an empire looks like, and there's no off-ramp for this. The war is a distinct possibility that it could go much larger than it is now, or even World War III or worse, but there's a possibility that it'll happen. But with the financial system, the sad thing to say that it's built into the math. We're not talking about probabilities here, we're talking about it is going to happen. But they've been kicking the can down the road for a long time, and I'm just not sure about how much longer they can continue to kick the can down the road with the financial problem. I think they're getting right into the end game now, guys. We're in the final inning. And sad to say that it's one of two directions. It's either deflation or inflation. But because nobody in the political spectrum is willing to take the responsibility for deflation, they're just going to keep inflating. So it's going to be inflation. And it's going to eat away the purchasing power of all your fiat currencies. And there's going to be very little of value left in the system as the system crumbles and breaks apart. It's going to leave that kind of world that I told you guys about, where there's a reduced population, and a lot of areas that used to be cities and stuff become ghost towns. Worse than ghost towns. They're not even towns anymore. They're just crumbled ruins. Anyway, but there's no way out of that. See, there's an off-ramp for the war, and it could end. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a high probability that it's going to suddenly end tomorrow, but that possibility is there. But there is no way out of this financial crisis. It's going to happen. Absolutely. So let's take a look at the markets today. And what I'm trying to explain to you guys is how close we are right now to this financial disaster that could basically, you just can't shut off a switch and say, okay, your money's worthless now, and have society keep running in a civilized way. It just doesn't function that way. Everything ceases to function because everything functions on what we call money, which is not money, it's just credit units. This is total endgame, guys. We're in now. And we're in the final stage of it, where we're going to see something of real value like gold and silver go exceedingly high. Nobody's going to want the paper money anymore very soon. I mean, you think it's not inflationary, the amount of money that they're spending on war as well? And if they have to buy into the bond markets, if they have to support the credit markets, because the pension funds are all invested. It's malinvestment everywhere out there. Honest to gosh, guys, I'm telling you, you got to get your, because we're faced with both of these threats. Like I say, one of them may or may not succeed in taking us out, but the other one is 100% sure it's going to succeed if the other one fails. The financial crisis will succeed for sure. There's no doubt. It's math. It's hard baked in, that one. So if we get away from one by sheer luck, the other one's going to get us. So you got to prepare, because I can't begin to explain to you the complete collapse of the financial system where the currency ceased to function. I can't explain to you guys how that's going to stop everything, because everything functions on money, or what we call money. It's just a mess. So you got to get yourself in order, and you got to do it quick, because it's going to be a period of time coming up where we're going to go through what I would refer to as extreme hardship. What that means is neighbor against neighbor. What that means is a lot of fire, like Nero fiddled while Rome burned. You get what I'm saying? Burned. What we're looking at is a period of time where there's no food and water to be obtained. So you're going to have to rely upon what you have, and you're going to have to protect that from people who might want to take that away from you. It's as simple as that. Really, really severely hard times. They've seen hard times. I'm going to call them hard times we're seeing in Venezuela, but this is going to be worse. This is the complete, utter breakdown of all civilization. And in Venezuela, it got so bad that they were stopping trucks on the highway that were carrying things like poultry or things like meat for food, and raiding them in Venezuela. Horror stories. And the people were skinning bones because they couldn't get anything to eat. Stiff drink time, guys. That's all. But I'm not. I don't like alcohol that much. But once in a while, I will have a little drink. But you got to have something to calm your nerves in these days. These are hard times we're dealing with already. It's hard on them mentally. It's hard on you. But ultimately, it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I do believe that there will be a point where this whole big situation that they've created for us, let's not forget, because I'm very upset about this, is it wasn't us, the people, that created these situations. It was them. The small fraction, less than 1%. And they've taken advantage of us. And they've taken advantage of our not paying attention to what they were doing. They're responsible because they were in charge. It's as simple as that. And they have really, really messed things up for our world. And we haven't seen the full extent yet. It's just a lot of hot air, me talking right now, because it hasn't happened yet. But what I'm telling you guys is that there's a 100% chance, unless a meteor comes from space and blows the planet up anyway, there's a 100% chance that one of these two disasters is going to get us. And the one that's got a 100% chance of happening is the financial system. Absolutely 100%. We're not going to escape because it's math. It's built in. It's baked into the cards now at this point. It can't be reversed. They did it to us. Jekyll Island. They did it to us. And I mean, I could rant about them and all I want because I'm upset about it. And all of you guys should be upset that they screwed us over too. But it seems like people are just too much into their TikTok and Facebook and all that crap to pay attention to what's really going on. Oh, they're going to get woken up pretty soon. They're going to get a slap in the face and a bucket of cold water over their head when it starts to all crack. And then they're going to run around, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? That's coming. Anyway, I've ranted enough. 2031 for silver. It's down 32 cents. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is $16.99. It's down $13.60. Let's take a look at crypto today. We're looking at a crypto price of $19,600 and an Ethereum price of $13.32. Let's take a look now at the Dow Jones Industrial Average that is down 407 points. So, remember I was talking about the Fed? I wouldn't be surprised if maybe tomorrow or the next day we suddenly see the US 10-year shed about 20 or 30 basis points. And then the markets respond. How much money? Look, how much money would it take of new, freshly printed, right off the printing press money would it take to move the US 10-year by 20 or 30 basis points in one day? How much bonds would you have to purchase? You know, on the long end of the yield curve. And move the whole long end of the yield curve, the 30-year, 20-year, all of it. How much money would it take? Because it's a market that's like 5 times bigger than the stock market. And to keep all that secret and not let anybody know you're doing it. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Let's take a look now at crude oil, 89.50. Move index today is 153.29. So we're seeing the credit markets are on unstable ground. So they better start up that computer that controls the money and punch in a whole bunch more zeros in there, you know, and hit enter. That's all they have to do now. And they've just created, like, I don't know, $500 billion. Put in 5,000,000,000,000,000,000, hit enter. There, it's done, fixed. That was easy. Okay. Bonds and rates today. We're looking at the Treasury yields falling today. 6 basis points on the 10-year at 3.89. And 6 basis points on the 30-year. The rising, I should say. Rising yields. At 3.85? Anyway. What we're looking at is, as these yields rise, the stock market falls. And as these yields fall, the stock market rises. And all of the other things, but there is a fear trade with gold and silver at a certain point. If all this falls too far, then investors start to come back to gold and silver as a safe haven asset. So you can't forget about that. Let's take a look at the US dollar index. 112.61. And the dollar's rising today. So, basically, we're living in a time where there's a fine gossamer thread holding up a big giant sword that's directly above all of our heads. And we're having to live through this period of uncertainty. I don't like it. I don't think any of you guys like it. But we can never forget who caused it. Because right now, we would still not be fighting for, fighting for, like, back in the 1950s, only one person in the family had to go out to work. And they could save money every month, and the grocery stores were clean, and people were polite to one another and stuff, and it was a beautiful world. It was like something out of something incredibly wonderful, especially in the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Never forget that these people did this to us. These people in the political structure who have become corrupted because when they receive huge donations to their campaign funds and all this kind of crap, then they are bought and paid for, politicians then at that point, and they're all being manipulated outside and the whole thing is corruption right at its core, and it's more than just corruption. It's like a planned disaster. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the very next episode. Bye-bye.